I was 12 when I realized I was invisible. My name is Summer, and that day I'd spent 3 hours building a volcano for the science fair. Perfect papier-mâché, meticulously painted, with a working eruption mechanism I'd figured out from library books. I was so proud, practically vibrating with excitement as I waited for Mom and Dad to come see. They burst through the door, but not for me. Wyatt, my 10-year-old brother, had apparently scored the winning goal in his soccer game. The celebration was immediate and loud. Dad lifting him up, Mom taking 1,000,000 photos, neighbours called over to hear the play-by-play. My volcano sat forgotten on the kitchen table. "That's nice, honey," Mom had said when I finally got her attention, barely glancing at my project. Very volcanic. 19 years later, sitting at this same kitchen table, I'm watching the exact same scene play out. Different props, same script. So, the property values in that area are about to explode, Wyatt says, gesturing wildly with his fork. I'm talking a complete transformation. Luxury condos, artisanal coffee shops, the whole gentrification package. Dad leans forward like Wyatt's revealing the secrets of the universe. How much are we talking about investing? 200,000 to start, maybe 300 to really make it sing. Mom clasps her hands together. "Oh, Wyatt, you're so brilliant, just like your father was at your age." I take a sip of wine and try not to roll my eyes. Wyatt's 29 and has exactly 0 successful business ventures under his belt. His last brilliant idea was a food truck that sold gourmet grilled cheese. It lasted 3 months before the health department shut it down. "What about permits?" I ask. "Zoning laws? Have you actually researched the area's development restrictions?" The table goes quiet. 3 pairs of eyes turn to me like I've just suggested we sacrifice a goat. "Summer," Dad says in that patient tone he uses when I'm being difficult. "Let your brother explain his vision. I'm just asking practical questions. The beauty of this opportunity," Wyatt continues, completely ignoring me, "is that I've got insider information. A buddy of mine works for the city planning department. This area is about to be rezoned for mixed-use development. Insider information?" I set down my wine glass, harder than necessary. "That sounds like smart business," Mom interrupts. "Wyatt's always been so good at networking." Of course he has. Wyatt could charm a snake into buying its own venom. Meanwhile, I've been working as an administrative assistant at a law firm for 8 years, steadily climbing from receptionist to office manager, and my parents still introduce me as our daughter who's really good with, paperwork. "Actually," I say, "I've been thinking about some investment opportunities myself. There are some really interesting properties in the downtown area that—" "Oh, sweetie!" Mom reaches over and pats my hand like I'm still 12. "Real estate is so risky. You have such a stable job. Why would you want to jeopardize that?" "Because maybe I want more than stable." "Speaking of which," Dad interrupts, "we need to talk to you about something important." Here it comes. I can see it in their faces, that mixture of excitement and guilt that means they're about to ask me for something while pretending it's for my own good. "We've decided to take out a second mortgage on the house," Mom says, "to help fund Wyatt's project." The words hit me like a slap. "You're mortgaging the family home?" "It's an investment in all our futures," Dad says. "When Wyatt's development takes off, we'll all benefit." "And what if it doesn't take off? What if it fails like the food truck or the app idea or the organic dog treat business?" Wyatt's face flushes. "Those were learning experiences that cost Mom and Dad thousands of dollars each time." "Summer," Dad's voice carries a warning, "your brother is trying to build something here. The least you can do is be supportive." "Supportive? Right, like I've been my whole life, watching from the sidelines while they pour money and attention into Wyatt's dreams while treating mine like cute hobbies." "Of course I'm supportive," I lie. I just think we should be realistic about the risks. That's why we need you to stay grounded, Mom says. Someone in this family needs to keep their feet on the ground. You're our safety net, honey, our reliable one. Their safety net, their backup plan, never their first choice, never their pride and joy, just their insurance policy against Wyatt's inevitable failures. I smile and nod and help clear the dishes, playing my role perfectly. The good daughter, the responsible one, the one who'll pick up the pieces when everything falls apart. But later that night, alone in my apartment, I open my laptop and start researching property listings. I've been saving money for years, living modestly while my parents funded Wyatt's fantasies. I've got enough for a down payment, maybe 2 if I'm careful. They want me to be their safety net? Fine. But this time I'm building my own foundation first. They'll never see me coming. Summer, can you make 15 copies of this contract and have them ready by lunch? Of course, Mr. Peterson. I take the papers from my boss with a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Another thrilling day at Henderson and Associates, where my biggest challenge is keeping the coffee machine stocked and remembering which partner likes their documents stapled versus paper-clipped. But that's fine. Let them think I'm just the reliable admin who keeps their office running. They have no idea that last night I spent 3 hours analysing cap rates and cash flow projections for a duplex in the Riverside district. My phone buzzes with a text from Mila. Coffee after work, found 3 more properties. Mila Blake is the only person who knows what I'm really doing. We met 2 years ago at a financial literacy workshop. She was the instructor, I was the student who stayed after to ask about investment strategies. She's a financial analyst at a mid-sized firm, brilliant with numbers and completely unimpressed by flashy presentations. In other words, everything my family isn't. Absolutely, I text back. The usual place. The usual place is a coffee shop downtown, far enough from my neighbourhood that I won't run into anyone I know. Mila's already there when I arrive, laptop open, surrounded by printouts and highlighters. Okay, so I ran the numbers on those 3 properties you flagged, she says without preamble. The duplex on Maple Street is a solid buy. Good bones, decent neighbourhood, rent potential is strong. I slide into the booth across from her. What about the financing? You're looking at about $15,000 down with conventional financing. Your credit score is excellent. Income is steady. The bank shouldn't give you any trouble. $15,000. It's most of my savings, but I've been living like a monk for 2 years, squirreling away every extra dollar. While Wyatt was buying rounds at bars and taking weekend trips to Vegas, I was eating ramen and shopping at thrift stores. There's one problem, Mila continues. The seller is motivated, but there's competition. Another buyer put in an offer yesterday. How much competition are we talking about? Real estate agent named Harmony Lane. Ring any bells? My stomach drops. Yeah, she's my brother's ex-girlfriend. Mila raises an eyebrow. Awkward. Think she knows you're interested in the property? No way. We haven't spoken in over a year, and she has no idea I'm looking at real estate. I hope. Harmony and Wyatt dated for 6 months last year before she dumped him for being financially irresponsible. Smart woman. What's her offer? Same as yours. Asking price, conventional financing. It's going to come down to who the seller likes better. Then I need to meet with them tomorrow. Summer. Mila closes her laptop and leans forward. Are you sure about this? I mean, really sure. Because once you start down this path, there's no going back to being just the admin who keeps her head down. I'm tired of keeping my head down. I'm tired of watching everyone else build their dreams while I file their paperwork. Even if it means going behind your family's back. I think about dinner last night, about Mom patting my hand like I'm a child, about Dad dismissing my questions like they don't matter. Especially then. The next morning I take a sick day and drive to Maple Street. The duplex is everything Mila described. Solid brick construction, good neighbourhood, Needs some cosmetic work, but nothing major. The seller, an elderly woman named Mrs. Rodriguez, meets me at the property. "You seem very young to be buying rental property," she says, as we walk through the first unit. "I've been saving for this for a long time. I work in property management," I lie smoothly. "I understand what it takes to maintain a building like this." She nods approvingly. The other buyer, she seemed more interested in flipping it. Kept talking about granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. But this is a good neighbourhood, working families. They don't need fancy fixtures, they need reliable landlords. That's exactly what I want to be, a landlord who cares about the community. 2 hours later, Mrs. Rodriguez accepts my offer. I'm sitting in my car afterward, hands shaking as I call Mila with the news, when I see a familiar figure walking up to the duplex. Harmony Lane, blonde hair perfectly styled, designer handbag, looking like she stepped out of a real estate magazine. She stops when she sees Mrs. Rodriguez putting a "sold" sign in the yard. Even from across the street I can see her face change as she realizes she's lost the deal. Then she turns and looks directly at my car. Our eyes meet through the windshield. For a moment, neither of us moves. Then Harmony pulls out her phone and starts typing, her gaze never leaving my face. I start my engine and drive away, but I can feel her watching me in my rearview mirror. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Interesting seeing you on Maple Street today, Summer. Didn't know you were in the market for investment properties." I delete the message without responding, but my hands are still shaking. The game has officially begun. 3 weeks later, I'm standing in the kitchen of my duplex watching a contractor named Rick tear out the old cabinets when my phone rings. "Summer, honey, can you come over?" Mom's voice sounds strained. "We need to talk." "Is everything okay? Can you come over, please?" I find my parents sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers between them. Dad's jaw is clenched, Mom's eyes are red. Classic signs of Wyatt drama. "What's wrong now?" I ask, sliding into my old chair. "The development project hit some snags," Dad says carefully. "Permitting issues, environmental surveys, the costs are higher than expected." "How much higher?" Mom and Dad exchange a look. "Another 100,000, Mom whispers. "Jesus Christ!" The words slip out before I can stop them. "You've already mortgaged the house for 200,000. Where are you going to get another 100? "That's what we wanted to discuss with you," Dad says. "You've always been so good with money, so responsible." "No." I stand up so fast my chair scrapes against the floor. "Absolutely not. We're not asking you to give us the money," Mom says quickly. "Just maybe co-sign on a loan. Your credit is excellent and when Wyatt's project fails, I'll be on the hook for the payments." "It's not going to fail," Dad snaps. "Your brother knows what he's doing." Like he knew what he was doing with the food truck, or the app, or Those were different, Mom interrupts. "This is real estate. It's solid." I laugh, but there's no humour in it. Real estate is only solid if you know what you're doing. Has Wyatt ever successfully flipped a property? Has he ever managed a construction project? Has he ever done anything in real estate besides watch HGTV? "He's learning," Dad says. "Everyone has to start somewhere. Most people start with their own money, not their parents' house." The front door slams and Wyatt walks in, looking like he hasn't slept in days. His usually perfect hair is dishevelled, his shirt wrinkled. "Hey, family meeting without me?" He tries for his usual charming smile, but it falls flat. "We were just explaining the situation to Summer," Mom says gently. "Right, the money thing." Wyatt drops into a chair. "Look, Summer, I know this seems scary, but I've got everything under control. The permits are just taking longer than expected and—" "Wyatt," I sit back down, keeping my voice level. "What exactly do you know about construction, about zoning laws, about environmental impact studies?" "I've got people for that stuff. Contractors, lawyers, people who are billing you by the hour while you figure it out." His face flushes. I'm not an idiot, Summer. I've done my research. Have you? Because last week Deborah mentioned she saw you at 3 different properties in one day, looking confused and asking basic questions. Mum frowns. Deborah said that? Shit, I shouldn't have mentioned the neighbours' gossip. Deborah Gill has lived next door for 20 years and sees everything that happens on our street, including, apparently, my own recent activities. She mentioned seeing Summer around some questionable neighbourhoods too, Wyatt says, his eyes narrowing. What's that about, sis? My heart pounds, but I keep my expression neutral. I've been looking at apartments. My lease is up soon. In the warehouse district? Wyatt presses. That's where Deborah saw you, not exactly residential. Mixed-use development, I say smoothly. Lofts are popular now. Dad waves his hand dismissively. Can we focus on the actual problem here? We need to make a decision about the loan. The decision is no, I say firmly. I'm not co-signing anything. Summer, please, Mom's voice breaks. We're family. We help each other. When have you ever helped me? When I wanted to go back to school for my MBA, you said it was too risky. When I mentioned starting my own business, you said I should stick with what I know. But Wyatt wants to play real estate mogul with your retirement money and suddenly risk is fine? That's not fair, Wyatt says, isn't it? Name one time Mom and Dad supported my ambitions the way they support yours. Silence falls over the kitchen. Mum fidgets with her wedding ring. Dad stares at the table. Wyatt looks everywhere except at me. I thought so, I say, standing again. I'm not signing anything. Figure out another way. I'm almost to the door when Wyatt calls out, You know what, Summer? Maybe Harmony was right about you. I freeze. What's that supposed to mean? She called me yesterday, said she ran into you at some property showing, said you seemed different, secretive. My mouth goes dry. Harmony's just stirring up trouble. She's still bitter about your breakup. Is she? Because she also said she's been tracking some mysterious buyer who's been snatching up properties all over the city, someone using an LLC to hide their identity. The room spins slightly. So it's interesting timing, don't you think? Right when our family's having money problems, someone's out there building a real estate empire in secret. I force a laugh. You think I'm some secret property mogul? Look at me, Wyatt. I'm an admin assistant who drives a 10-year-old Honda. But his eyes don't leave my face, and I can see the wheels turning. Wyatt might be reckless with money, but he's not stupid. And Harmony definitely isn't. I should go, I say. Good luck with your permits. I walk out before anyone can respond, but I can feel their eyes on my back. And for the first time since I started this whole thing, I wonder if I'm in over my head. The call comes at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. Summer, you need to get over here. Now! Mom's voice is shaking. I throw on clothes and drive to their house, where I find Dad pacing the living room while Mom sits on the couch, clutching a tissue. Wyatt is nowhere to be seen. What happened? Lawsuits, Dad says without stopping his pacing. 3 of them. Buyers from Wyatt's development claiming fraud, breach of contract, failure to deliver promised amenities. Where is he? Holed up in his apartment, not answering his phone, Mom says through tears. The lawyers are saying we could lose everything, the house, our savings, everything. I sit down heavily. How bad is it? Dad finally stops pacing and looks at me. Bad. The buyers put down deposits based on promises Wyatt made. Luxury finishes, completion dates, community amenities. None of it was in the actual contracts, but he told them verbally. And now they want their money back. Plus damages, plus legal fees. Dad's voice cracks. We're looking at $500,000 in potential liability. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Heard about your brother's legal troubles. Maybe we should talk. H. Harmony. Of course she'd know about the lawsuits before the ink was dry on the court filings. I need some air, I say, stepping onto the back porch. I call the number immediately. Summer. Harmony's voice is smooth, professional. I was wondering when you'd call. What do you want? To help, actually. I know this must be devastating for your family. Cut the crap, Harmony. You dumped Wyatt because he was financially irresponsible. You're not calling out of concern. She laughs. Fair enough. I'm calling because I have a proposition. I know you've been buying properties. Don't bother denying it. I've done my homework. My stomach drops. I don't know what you're talking about. Riverside Investments LLC, registered 6 months ago. 3 properties purchased in the last 2 months. All cash deals, all in up-and-coming neighbourhoods. Very impressive for an admin assistant. You're fishing. Am I? Because I also know you took a sick day the morning you outbid me on the Maple Street duplex. And I know you've been meeting regularly with Myla Blake, who happens to be very good at setting up investment vehicles for her clients. I close my eyes. She's done her homework all right. What do you want, Harmony? Partnership. You clearly have capital and good instincts. I have experience and connections. Together, we could build something significant. And if I say no, then I might have to share my research with certain interested parties. Your family, for instance. I imagine they'd be very curious to know where you got the money for your little empire while they're facing bankruptcy. The threat hangs in the air between us. I can hear Mom crying through the porch door. I'll think about it, I say finally. Don't think too long. Your brother's problems are just getting started. She hangs up and I stare at my phone, hands shaking. Back inside, Mom has stopped crying but looks defeated. Summer, honey, I know we've never asked much of you, but... You're going to ask me for money? Dad nods grimly. We don't have anywhere else to turn. If we can settle these lawsuits quickly, maybe we can salvage something. How much? 200,000 to start. The number hits me like a physical blow. It's almost exactly what I have liquid between my savings and the equity in my properties. I don't have that kind of money, I lie. But maybe you could get a loan. Use your good credit. Mum's voice is desperate. We'll pay you back as soon as we can sell the house. Before I can answer, the front door bursts open. Wyatt stumbles in, looking like he hasn't slept or showered in days. They're trying to destroy me, he says wildly. These people knew what they were getting into. Real estate development has risks. Everyone knows that. Wyatt, Dad says carefully, you promised them things that weren't in the contracts. I was being optimistic. That's not fraud, that's salesmanship. It's fraud if you knew you couldn't deliver, I say. He whirls on me. Oh, now you're a legal expert too, just like you're suddenly a real estate expert. What's that supposed to mean? I've been thinking about what Harmony said, about the mysterious buyer, about your sudden interest in apartment hunting in commercial districts. His eyes are bloodshot but sharp. Where did you really get the money for these properties, Summer? The room goes silent. Mom and Dad look confused, but I can see the pieces clicking together in their minds. I don't know what you're talking about, I say, but my voice sounds hollow even to me. Bullshit. Wyatt steps closer. You've been playing some kind of long game, haven't you? Building your little empire while the rest of us struggle? That's enough, Dad says, but he's looking at me with new suspicion. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Harmony. Tick-tock, Summer. Your family's about to lose everything, and I'm the only one who can help you save them. But my offer expires at midnight. I look around the room at my family, Mom's tear-stained face, Dad's confusion, Wyatt's desperate anger, and realise that everything is about to come crashing down. The only question is whether I'll be standing in the rubble with them or watching from a safe distance. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my car outside the courthouse when Mila calls. It's official, she says without preamble. The house goes to auction next Friday. I watch Dad walk down the courthouse steps, shoulders slumped, looking like he's aged 10 years in the past month. Mum follows behind him, clutching his arm for support. How much do they owe? $430,000, including legal fees and penalties. The minimum bid will be $350. I do the math in my head. Between my savings, the equity in my properties, and a hard money loan Mila helped me secure, I can swing it. Barely. Set up the LLC, I tell her. Make sure there's no way to trace it back to me. Summer, are you absolutely sure about this? Once you buy that house, there's no going back. Your family will never forgive you. I watch my parents get into their car, Dad's hands shaking as he tries to start the engine. They've never forgiven me for existing. At least this way I'll have something to show for it. That evening, I'm at my duplex supervising the installation of new flooring when my contractor, Rick, pulls me aside. "We need to talk," he says, glancing around nervously. "What's wrong?" "I know who you are." My blood runs cold. "Excuse me." "Summer Williams. Your brother's the one who's been all over the news with those lawsuits, and I know you're the one behind Riverside Investments." I keep my face neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about." Rick laughs, but there's no humour in it. "Come on, you think I'm stupid? I've been doing work for your LLC for months. Same payment method, same attention to detail, same way of checking every corner twice. Plus, you slip up sometimes. Call properties mine instead of the client's. What do you want? 50,000 cash, or I make some phone calls?" The demand hits me like a punch to the gut. "You're blackmailing me. I'm asking for a finder's fee for keeping your secret safe. I don't have 50,000 lying around." "Sure you do. You're about to buy a $400,000 house, aren't you?" My phone starts ringing. Mom's name on the screen. "I have to take this," I tell Rick, stepping away. "Summer," Mum's voice is barely a whisper. "Can you come over, please?" I find them in the living room, surrounded by boxes. They're packing. "Where are you going?" "Your Aunt Linda's in Phoenix," Mum says, "just until we figure things out." Dad looks up from a box of photo albums. "We can't afford to stay here anymore, even as renters. The legal fees, the settlements, we're broke, Summer. Completely broke. What about Wyatt?" "He's already gone," Mum says bitterly. "Left yesterday. Said he needed to clear his head and explore new opportunities." "He abandoned you?" Dad's jaw tightens. "He said the stress was affecting his ability to think clearly, that he'd be more help to us if he could focus on his next venture without distractions." I stare at them, these people who sacrificed everything for their golden boy, now abandoned and packing their lives into cardboard boxes. "I'm sorry," I say, and for the first time in weeks, I mean it. Mum looks up with tears in her eyes. "We know we haven't always been fair to you, honey. We know we put too much pressure on you to be the responsible one while we enabled Wyatt. You were always our safety net," Dad adds quietly, "and we took that for granted." The irony is crushing. Here they are, finally acknowledging what I've always known, just as I'm about to betray them in the most spectacular way possible. "There's something else," Mum says. "The auction is Friday, and we were hoping you could be there. For moral support. It's going to be hard, watching strangers bid on our home." "Of course," I hear myself saying. "I'll be there." After I leave, I sit in my car for 20 minutes, staring at their house. The house where I grew up feeling invisible. The house they mortgaged for Wyatt's dreams. The house I'm about to buy out from under them. My phone buzzes. A text from Harmony. "Heard about the auction. Interesting timing for your family's financial troubles. Still interested in that partnership?" I delete the message without responding, but another one comes immediately. "I'll be at the auction Friday. Should be quite a show." Then another. "By the way, I had lunch with Deborah today. Your neighbour has some fascinating theories about your recent activities." My hands are shaking as I call Mila. "We have a problem," I tell her. "Multiple problems. Talk to me. Rick is blackmailing me. Harmony knows about the LLC and is threatening to expose me, and Deborah has been watching me and talking to people." "Jesus, Summer, how did this get so complicated?" "I don't know, but I need you to accelerate the timeline. Can we be ready for the auction?" "Technically, yes, But Summer, maybe this is a sign. Maybe you should walk away before... No. The word comes out harder than I intended. I've come too far to back down now. They want to see what the responsible daughter is capable of. Fine. They're about to find out. But even as I say it, I can hear the doubt in my own voice. And for the first time since this all started, I wonder if revenge is worth the price I'm about to pay. Friday morning arrives grey and drizzling. I stand across the street from my childhood home, watching strangers gather on the front lawn like vultures circling roadkill. Dwayne Duncan, the auctioneer, sets up his podium under a pop-up tent. He's been handling estate sales and foreclosures in our town for 20 years. When he sees me, he gives a sympathetic nod. "Sorry about your family's situation, Summer," he says quietly. "This is never easy. Just business, right?" He studies my face for a moment. "Sometimes, but it doesn't have to be cruel." Mom and Dad arrive in their old sedan, parking down the street like they're afraid to get too close. They look smaller somehow, diminished. Mum clutches Dad's arm as they approach the crowd. "Summer!" Mum hurries over and hugs me tightly. "Thank you for being here. I know this is hard for you too." "Where's Wyatt?" Dad's face darkens. Still clearing his head, apparently. Haven't heard from him in 3 days. A black BMW pulls up, and Harmony steps out wearing a crisp business suit and designer heels. She surveys the crowd like a general reviewing troops. Then her eyes find mine. She smiles and walks over. "Summer, how are you holding up?" Her voice drips with fake sympathy. "Fine, thanks." "And Mr. and Mrs. Williams." She turns to my parents with practiced concern. "I'm so sorry about all this. Wyatt was always such a dreamer. Sometimes dreams and reality don't align." Mum's face tightens. "Harmony." "I hope there are no hard feelings about the breakup. I tried to warn him about taking on too much debt, but..." She shrugs elegantly. "You warned him?" Dad's voice is sharp. "Oh yes, many times. In fact, I even offered to help finance his project properly, with realistic timelines and budgets. But he said he had everything under control." I stare at her. "You offered to finance Wyatt's project? A small investment, 50,000 with proper oversight. But he turned me down, said he didn't need a babysitter." Harmony's smile turns predatory. Pride comes before the fall, as they say. The pieces click into place. Wyatt had mentioned getting seed money from an investor, but he'd been vague about the details. Now I understand why. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dwayne's voice booms across the lawn. "We'll be starting in 5 minutes. Please review your financing paperwork and be prepared to show proof of funds." The crowd shifts, and I see several serious-looking investors checking their phones and shuffling papers. A young couple holds hands near the back, probably first-time home buyers, hoping for a deal. An older man in an expensive suit stands near the front, clearly a professional flipper. "Quite a turnout," Harmony says, still watching me. "Should be interesting to see who ends up with it." My phone buzzes. A text from Mila. "Representative is in position. LLC paperwork is clean. You sure about this?" I type back, "Yes." "Summer?" Mum touches my arm. "Are you okay? You look pale." "I'm fine, just..." "This is harder than I expected. We'll get through this," Dad says, but his voice lacks conviction. "We'll rebuild somehow." Dwayne taps his microphone. "All right, folks, let's get started. This is a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial on a corner lot, built in 1987. Minimum bid is $350,000. Do I hear 350? Several hands go up immediately. The professional flipper, the young couple, 2 other investors I don't recognize. 350 now, 400 now, 450. The bidding moves quickly. The young couple drops out at 400. One of the investors falls away at 475. 500,000! The professional flipper's voice cuts through the crowd. 525! Harmony raises her paddle calmly. My heart pounds. She's actually bidding. This wasn't part of any plan. 550! The flipper counters. 600! Harmony doesn't hesitate. The flipper shakes his head and steps back. The crowd murmurs. 600 is well above market value for this neighbourhood. 600,000 going once. Dwayne scans the crowd. This is it. My moment. I catch the eye of Myla's representative, a sharp-dressed woman named Janet, who's been standing quietly near the side of the house. Janet raises her paddle. 650. Harmony's head snaps around, searching for the bidder. When she spots Janet, her eyes narrow. 700, Harmony calls out, her voice tight. 750, Janet responds immediately. Mom grabs my arm. Who is that woman? Why is she bidding so high? I don't know, I lie. 800. Harmony's composure is cracking. She's bidding with emotion now, not strategy. 850, Janet says calmly. The crowd is buzzing. This is way beyond what anyone expected. Harmony pulls out her phone, probably checking her financing limits. 900,000. Harmony's voice is strained. Janet looks at me across the crowd. I give the slightest nod. $1 million, Janet announces. The crowd goes silent. Even Dwayne looks stunned. Harmony stares at Janet, then slowly turns to scan the crowd again. Her eyes find mine, and I see the exact moment she realizes what's happening. 1 million, going once, going twice. Dwayne's voice seems to come from far away. Harmony opens her mouth, then closes it. She knows she's beaten. Sold! To bidder number 7 for $1 million. The crowd erupts in chatter. Mom and Dad look shell-shocked. They just watched their house sell for nearly 3 times what they owed. On it. Harmony pushes through the crowd toward me, her face a mask of fury and admiration. Brilliant, she says when she reaches me. Absolutely brilliant. Though I have to ask, how does an admin assistant afford $1 million house? Before I can answer, Janet approaches with a folder in her hands. Miss Williams, she says to me, I need you to sign the final paperwork. The words hang in the air like a bomb about to explode. Mom and Dad turn to stare at me, confusion giving way to shock. Summer? Mom's voice is barely a whisper. What is she talking about? I look at my parents, at Harmony's triumphant smile, at the crowd of strangers who just witnessed my family's destruction and my secret revealed. There's no going back now. The silence stretches like a rubber band about to snap. Mom and Dad stare at me, their faces cycling through confusion, disbelief, and something that might be horror. Summer, Dad's voice cracks. What is she talking about? I take the folder from Janet with steady hands, though my heart is hammering against my ribs. Thank you. I'll review these and get them back to you by Monday. Of course, Ms. Williams. Congratulations on your purchase. Janet walks away, leaving me standing in the centre of a circle that feels like a firing squad. The crowd is dispersing, but several people linger, sensing drama. Summer! Mom's voice is barely audible. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. I look at my parents, really look at them. Dad's face is grey, his hands shaking slightly. Mom looks like she might collapse. Behind them I can see Dwayne packing up his equipment, pointedly not looking in our direction. It's not a mistake, I say quietly. You bought our house? Dad's words come out strangled. You bought our house at auction? Yes. How? Mom whispers. How do you have $1 million? Harmony steps closer, her phone out, probably recording. Oh, this is rich. Tell them, Summer. Tell them about Riverside Investments LLC. Tell them about the property empire you've been building while they were losing everything. Shut up, Harmony, I snap. Property empire? Dad looks like I've slapped him. What property empire? The words stick in my throat. Now that the moment is here, I can't find a way to explain that doesn't sound monstrous. I've been buying real estate, I say finally, for the past year. With what money? Mum's voice is rising. You're an administrative assistant. With the money I saved while you were funding Wyatt's disasters. With the money I earned while you were mortgaging your future for his dreams. Dad takes a step back like I've physically pushed him. You've been hiding money from us while we were struggling. I wasn't hiding it from you. I was protecting it from you. Protecting it. Mom's voice breaks. We're your family. Are we? The words explode out of me, because for 31 years I've felt more like an employee than a daughter, the reliable one, the backup plan, the safety net you could count on while you poured everything into Wyatt. That's not true, Dad says, but his voice lacks conviction. Isn't it? When I wanted to go back to school, you said it was too risky. When I mentioned starting a business, you said I should stick with what I know. But Wyatt wants to play developer with your retirement money, and suddenly risk is an adventure. A small crowd has gathered again, drawn by our raised voices. I can see phones coming out, people recording. This is going to be all over social media within the hour. We should go somewhere private, I say. No. Mom's voice is steel. You want to humiliate us in public? Fine. Let's finish this here. How much, Summer? How much money have you been hiding while we lost everything? I could lie. I could minimize it, but I'm done with lies. Including this house? About $2 million in assets. Mom staggers like I've hit her. Dad catches her arm. $2 million, he repeats numbly. You had $2 million and you watched us lose our home. You chose to lose your home. You chose to mortgage it for Wyatt's fantasy. I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. So you decided to buy it yourself, Harmony interjects, clearly enjoying the show. At auction, in front of them. I decided to save it, I say, turning to face my parents. Do you understand what just happened here? You owed $400,000. I just paid $1 million. That's $600,000 that goes directly to you, free and clear. Dad blinks. What? The surplus from the auction. It's yours. You're not broke anymore. You can buy another house, start over, do whatever you want. But this house, our house, is mine now. The words taste like ashes, and you can stay in it, as tenants. I'll charge you fair market rent, nothing more. Mom starts crying, not the gentle tears from earlier, but harsh, broken sobs. You planned this, she says between gasps. You planned all of this. While we were suffering, you were planning to take our home. I planned to save it, by stealing it, by buying it at a legal auction with money I earned, money you should have used to help your family. The accusation hangs in the air like smoke. Around us, the crowd has grown larger. I can see Deborah from next door, her face a mask of scandalized delight. Help my family do what? I ask quietly. Enable Wyatt's next disaster? Fund another one of his brilliant ideas? Watch you mortgage your future again and again because you can't say no to your golden boy? He's your brother, Dad says, and I'm your daughter, but you've never treated me like one. I turn to walk away, but Mum's voice stops me. Summer, please, don't do this. Don't destroy our family over money. I turn back to face them one last time. I didn't destroy this family, Mom. I just stopped pretending it was something it never was. I walked to my car, leaving them standing in the wreckage of their old life and the birth of my new one. Behind me, I can hear Mom crying and Harmony's voice, probably offering comfort that comes with strings attached. As I drive away, I catch a glimpse of them in my rear-view mirror, small, broken figures standing in front of the house that's no longer theirs. I should feel triumphant. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just feel empty. The house feels different when I walk through it, alone, bigger somehow, but also hollow. The hardwood floors echo under my feet as I move through rooms that once felt like home and now feel like a museum of someone else's life. I'm standing in the kitchen looking at the table where we had that last family dinner when the doorbell rings. It's Wyatt. He looks terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed, wearing the same clothes he had on 3 days ago. But there's something different in his posture. The cocky confidence is gone, replaced by something I've never seen in him before. Genuine humility. Can I come in? I step aside without a word. He walks into the living room and stops, looking around like he's seeing it for the first time. "It looks exactly the same," he says quietly. "I haven't changed anything yet." Yet, he turns to face me. "So you're really going to live here, in our childhood home?" "I don't know. Maybe. I haven't decided." We stand there in awkward silence. Finally, Wyatt sits down heavily on the couch. "I heard what happened at the auction. Mom called me crying so hard I could barely understand her. Where were you, Wyatt? Your parents were losing their home and you were nowhere to be found." "I was in Vegas." His voice is flat. "Trying to win enough money to save the house. Stupid, right? Even at the end, I thought I could fix everything with one big score." "How much did you lose?" "Everything. The last 5,000 I had to my name." He laughs bitterly. "I'm broke, Summer. Completely broke. Sleeping on a friend's couch, borrowing money for gas." I sit down across from him. "Good." He looks up, startled. "I'm serious. Good. Maybe now you'll stop chasing fantasies and figure out how to actually work for something. Jesus, Summer, I know I screwed up, but do you really know? Because this isn't just about one failed business, Wyatt. This is about 30 years of you getting everything handed to you while I got nothing. This is about Mom and Dad sacrificing their retirement for your dreams while treating mine like hobbies." "You're right." The words come out so quietly I almost miss them. "What?" "You're right about all of it." He looks up at me, and for the first time in our lives, I see him clearly. Not the golden boy, not the charming dreamer, just a broken man facing the truth. "I've been selfish my whole life. I took everything they gave me and convinced myself I deserved it. And now I'm sitting in the house my sister bought because I destroyed our parents' lives." He wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. I don't even know how to apologize for that. The front door opens and Mom and Dad walk in. They stop when they see Wyatt, and for a moment nobody moves. "We came to get some things," Mom says stiffly. "We're staying at a hotel until we find an apartment." "You don't have to do that," I say. "I meant what I said about renting to you." "We can't live in our own house as tenants," Dad replies. "It's too humiliating," I finish. "Complicated." Wyatt stands up. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything." Mom looks at him with tired eyes. "Sorry doesn't fix anything, Wyatt." "I know. But I want to try. I want to get a real job, pay you back somehow." "With what?" Dad's voice is sharp. "You don't have any skills except talking people into bad investments." "Then I'll learn some. I'll do whatever it takes." I watch this exchange, feeling like I'm seeing my family clearly for the first time. Mum and Dad finally holding Wyatt accountable. Wyatt finally accepting responsibility. And me, the architect of this reckoning, standing in the ruins of everything I thought I wanted. "There's something else," I say. "The surplus money from the auction, $600,000. It's yours. I've already had my lawyer start the paperwork." Dad stares at me. "You're giving us the money. It was always yours. I just made sure you got market value instead of losing everything to the bank. But the house is mine. That doesn't change. But the money is yours to start over with." Mom sits down suddenly like her legs won't hold her anymore. "I don't understand you, Summer. You destroy us and save us at the same time." "I didn't destroy you. I just stopped enabling the destruction." Myla appears in the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt. Summer, we need to discuss the Rick situation." "What Rick situation?" Wyatt asks. "My contractor was blackmailing me, threatening to expose my real estate business unless I paid him $50,000. "Was?" Dad notices the past tense. Myla smiles grimly. "Turns out Rick has been skimming materials from job sites and selling them. I had a friend at the DA's office look into it. He's got bigger problems than blackmail now." "You had him arrested?" Mom looks shocked. "I had him investigated. The arrest was his own doing." Wyatt shakes his head. You really did think of everything, didn't you? I had to. Nobody else was going to protect me. The room falls quiet again. Finally, Dad speaks. What happens now? I look around at my family, broken, scattered, but maybe finally honest with each other. Now you take the money and start over, build something real this time, something sustainable, and Wyatt gets a job that doesn't involve other people's money. And you, Mum asks. I keep building, but I do it in the open this time. No more secrets, no more hiding. Will you... Mum's voice breaks slightly. Will you still be our daughter? The question hangs in the air. I could say no. I could cut them off completely, enjoy my victory in solitude. But looking at them now, really seeing them, flaws and all, I realise that would be just another kind of prison. I'll always be your daughter, I say finally, but I won't be your safety net anymore, and I won't be invisible. Mum starts crying again, but these tears are different, cleaner somehow. We see you now, she whispers. We finally see you. I nod, not trusting my voice. Outside the sun is setting, casting long shadows through the windows of the house that's mine now. Not the way I imagined it as a child, but mine nonetheless. It's not the ending I planned. It's messier, more complicated, with loose threads and unresolved hurt. But it's real, and for the first time in my life, that feels like enough. So, Wyatt says, breaking the silence, anyone know if McDonald's is hiring? Despite everything, I laugh, and after a moment, so do Mom and Dad. It's a start.